right, I'm off camera over here, but you can still hear me. We are back with the driver and the tuner
right.
of Follow a Dream's racing team.
And introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Phil Burkhart.
All right.
Anthony Terenzio.
All right. Glad to have you in here.
Yes,
we just our second podcast of the day in the Follow a Dream dining room.
Yes.
All right. Well, they don't have a lot of time because they got work to do out here. They got a race today. But anyway, as far as being a driver, like, is there a school you go to, or you just sit in the car and go?
The School of Hard Knocks.
Okay. So when you first decided you're going to drive that car, the first time you got in, you eased yourself down the track, or you went all out?
No. I mean, I started drag racing when I was 14 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my father raced during the 60s and 70s.
So you were around
sport, since I was born, basically.
Okay.
And so obviously mentored under him for many years,
right.
And just continued to grow what level and what class that I was racing in.
Okay.
And do this alcohol funny car now, but I've also raced Top Fuel and Top Fuel funny car, Nitro funny car as well.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And you're from
upstate New York, Yorkville, New York,
okay.
Which is a small town outside of Utica, New York, about an hour east of Syracuse.
Okay. Nice.
Did your dad ever come down here and race when you were a kid, or?
Not this far. No.
Oh, okay.
We have a family business that's an automotive engine rebuilding machine shop and an auto speed shop business.
Okay.
So he stayed more local up that way.
Okay.
Than traveling.
Okay.
This far.
No, that makes sense.
Which brings up the point of your volunteering. Like he said, most of the people here volunteer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So you're away from your job right now,
right.
family and whatnot, and down here racing and.
Yep.
So your job is still at the.
Yeah. I've taken over. My father passed away in 2013, so I've taken over the business since, and it's still going strong. We've got employees and people that are there working hard right now, keeping it all going.
You're down here having a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's good to be king.
Otherwise, I work there every day and try to lead by example of being there, and I put in 10 plus hours a day every day that I'm not racing. So
good for you.
Yeah.
And as far as tuning, I'm sure that took a little bit of learning too, on the job maybe. But did you work in the automotive business before you got into this, or?
Technically, yes. So my story's much similar to his. So I'm the youngest of four boys, and my two oldest brothers were drag racers. They started taking me to the track when I was 13.
Oh, okay.
And I got my racing license when I was 17.
Okay.
Driving a blown altered.
So there is such a thing, like you need to pass some kind of a test and get a license to do
licensing,
this.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't get in your car now and drive down the track.
Right.
Not that I'd want to. But.
No, but much like Phil, we didn't go to school. We just
well, you learned on the job, but then you knew enough to pass the test.
Yeah.
Right. We grew up with it, and just kind of came natural. I know it came natural to him, came natural to me.
Yeah.
Both my.
Are you also from New York?
No, I'm from Connecticut.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
And how did you hook up with Jay? Like.
Well, my business partner. Well, geez, I don't know how far you want me to go back, but so again, I started racing with my brothers. We traveled all over the country right after I graduated high school in 1971.
Okay.
We held a national record in our class for about 5 years.
Wow.
And then took some time off. I started a business and grew that, and then my business partner and I put an alcohol funny car together.
Okay.
And we started racing that. We did very well with it. I drove. Actually, the last time I drove was here in 2020.
Oh wow!
No, I'm sorry. 2000. Forget 20.
Oh, 2000.
2000. Yeah, 2000. That's the last time I drove. Then he took over, and we did quite well. We won a bunch of national. I can't even remember how many races we won, but probably 30.
And then, I mean, does that still exist? Your partnership?
No. So we dissolved that that team, and unfortunately, I guess I should say that Jay's crew chief came down with ALS.
Oh,
and we used to race against him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we just, we all knew each other.
Right,
but,
yeah.
But Tom Howell, rest his soul. He was a great guy. But anyway, he passed. Mickey and I sold our team, and Jay gave me a call one day and said, Tom's sick and he's not going to be coming anymore.
Yeah.
And asked me if I wanted to join the team, so I said sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's honorable. You're sort of following in the footsteps of a very good friend of yours. It's
So what does that entail? Like, what is your job then here? How does that? We learned a little bit from Jay in that, if the day is a very humid day, that could really change an engine. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
Yeah, well, it's much like an airplane. I guess, there's density, altitude. And we have a weather station that tells us all of that.
Oh, okay.
And there's a calculation with the barometer, humidity, that gives you some sort of elevation. And then after that, it's somewhat of guesswork. Because now you have to read the track. You have to figure out tire pressure.
Yeah.
It's quite a complicated.
He says guesswork, but it comes from a lot of experience.
Right.
And looking at past runs,
guesswork.
Educated guesses.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it, and factors that you have to, put into the tuning equation and how you run the car on that particular run.
Yeah.
But we have all these past records of runs with the car, and you make changes, literally by the hour,
Right.
to adapt to those ever-changing track and weather conditions.
Okay.
So that's what really. That's why it's always a moving target.
So you also take part in that tuning process.
Yeah,
you don't.
I've been around it a long time too, so we talk and whatever.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
You're not just, they say, okay, get in, it's ready to go. You have a little input in that as well.
Well, and that's when I was on the
too,
job, that was nice, because when we had a big issue, we could collaborate with different, and it seems like you are very close here. You guys do a lot of collaborations,
Well, you have to be a tight-knit team.
Right.
It's a team.
How they say it, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
And that's all what we're all here for, is to to do well and win races. So you have to work together and come together. And it's funny, I've been with other teams, both on the professional level and semi-pro like this is, and if there's animosity in the pit area and amongst people, it works its way into the car.
Right.
And the car just doesn't perform, and it's odd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It should. One's emotion and the other one's mechanical.
Right. Right.
But somehow, that individual that's upset or whatever maybe doesn't care as much as they should at that moment.
Because they're not. They're using somebody else's ID other than his.
I don't really want to do it this way, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it not only creates tension in the pit area, but it, like I say, it works its way into the race car, and the cars know it somehow. They usually don't perform as well on a team where there's animosity going on and trouble in the pit area.
Now, are your cars automatic, or you have to shift them?
No, they're shifted.
Like a manual transmission.
They're manual type transmissions. They're kind of a combination between a standard shift and an automatic.
Okay.
So you do launch the car with a clutch pedal. We call it swapping feet. So there's a clutch pedal in alcohol funny cars that is I'm pushing down when I'm on the starting line, and we rev the engine to like 6,500 RPM. Basically in neutral, and then swap feet, as we call it. Clutch out, gas down.
Yeah.
And so think about that in your passenger car that you're driving down the road. You're revving it to 6,500 RPM, and then you're just letting the clutch out. Or in an automatic car, it would be equivalent to 6,500 RPM and then pulling it into gear. So that's quite the only thing you can really compare it. Most people grasp at, like, no way, I can't even do that at 3,000 RPM or whatever. And it's tough on equipment, but everything there is made to do that.
Right.
And
But that's where your skill comes in. Like if you didn't have to do that, if you just had to slam on the gas and take off, then that would make all drivers more equal. But in your case, you got to work that.
Yeah, there's a rhythm there. You have to be in sync. You have to have your oh, by the way, you're also are holding a brake with your hand. So your 2 feet are busy, right?
Yeah.
So now how's the car staying still? Right?
So you brake.
So now you actually have a hand lever for a brake.
Okay.
And the motor's revving so high that we actually use the thrust of the exhaust pipes to roll the car forward into the second starting line by letting up on the brake. As I'm sitting there at 6,500 RPM, I let up on the brake.
So while you're at the start line, not only is the clutch in, but you're also on the brake till you have to go.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're letting go of the brake, stomping the gas, and letting off the clutch all at the same time. Oh yeah,
it's like playing the drums.
Your other hand is on the steering wheel. So your one hand on the steering wheel when you're leaving the starting line until, of course, you let go of the brake. And then, like I said, it's a combination between a standard shift and an automatic in that there's buttons that are operated by air that I push to go into second gear, and then push another button and it goes into third gear.
So once you let off the clutch, you're not clutching every time you got to shift.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
That's where it kind of turns into a semi-automatic.
Okay. All right. But you still got to push.
Still got to push the button in order for it to happen.
Yeah. So I would imagine that the feeling of going that fast. I mean, I can only compare it to an airplane.
Yeah.
Like when I'm riding on an airplane, but I'm in this nice little seat, all comfy, but you're in a car where you are going to go or end up that fast.
Yeah, well, these acceleration-wise are more like fighter jet than a big airplane. Somewhere around 2.5 to 3 Gs in these cars.
You're just moving.
Basically like
and that's so when you take off at that many Gs, like when you take your hand off that brake and reach for the steering wheel, like you probably have to use a lot of effort to get there, or not?
No, I can't tell you when I grabbed the steering wheel the second time. If you have to think about what you're doing at any time in that run, then you got an issue. Honestly, you have no business being in the car.
Okay.
It has to be automatic.
Like muscle memory.
And memory. And you have to adapt to changes because we assume what the car is going to do on every run.
Yeah.
But very rarely does it do exactly what you think it's going to do. And that's where a guy that's driven for a long time can adapt to what's happening in, literally, thousands, hundreds of a second to make maybe what would be an aborted run into a run that goes A to B, as we call it, down the racetrack and salvage the run. And you gain information from that run by making it all the way down the racetrack. So that gives Anthony the information that he needed to tune or make changes for the next run.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if a driver, doesn't adapt that quickly to what's going on and able to get it down the racetrack, he doesn't have a baseline from that day to work with.
Yeah. Right.
To go to that day, that track, those weather conditions, to go down the track on the next run.
Because now he doesn't know, is it the car I need to tune, or did the driver just screw up?
Yeah.
And
there's an onboard monitoring computer system in the car that, Anthony can pretty much tell if it was the driver that screwed up or if it's, the car needs to be changed, some changes need to be done,
It's the old analogy, really, of driving the car by the seat of your pants, because when you drive a car that long, you feel it here.
Okay.
You literally do.
Yeah.
I call it hand-to-ass coordination.
Yeah. Now, I got to ask, since both of you drive now and you did you ever wreck? Wreck, like crash, like roll over?
No. I had, at 2 separate times, I had mechanical failures where I went into the wall, but not actual hardcore crash.
Okay.
Obviously it can happen. It happens to the best
I'm not,
of the best out there. And sometimes it's a driver error.
What it feels like.
Sometimes it's a mechanical failure that will make that happen.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, that's dodged that, you know, for so many. I mean, I'm 55 years old, so I've been driving these race cars. I've been driving race cars for over 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, you don't find too many 55-year-old guys have been driving a race car for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was driving a race car before I was driving a regular street car. So at 14 years old at our local track, I was running a rear-engine dragster, a full-size rear-engine dragster that ran 970 at 140 miles an hour at 14 years old. Wow. So, I mean,
did you pass your regular driver's test the first time you went and took it?
I think so. I know I don't remember failing it, so yeah, I probably did. I don't know.
I'm wondering why, you know, I'm 1 year older than he is, and he looks so much better than I do. Like, I look so much older, and he's the one under stress dragging the car at 300 miles an hour. What's up with that?
Well, you got to stay young, or you're probably not out there. That's if you got any other info, spin it out. Otherwise, it was neat talking to you, but we don't want to hold you up forever. And
no, I know
Paul's heading to go camping anyway.
It was neat to talk to somebody like you guys
that are hands on,
runs it, and then you guys who are right there in the mix of it, trying to make it work.
Well, and the nice thing about this sport, and you know, anybody that's watching, that you know, this is an event that you can come out to by yourself. You can bring your whole family. There's, I mean, most of the sportsman categories that are out there right now are full of families.
That's what Jay said.
And you know, they have motorhomes and trailers with sleeping quarters and things like that. And it's husbands, wives, sons, daughters, small children. That, you know, now they have the junior dragster category that they started, you know, several years ago now. But you know, that literally you can get you know, a small child at 5 or 6 years old in a small, basically looks like a go-kart made to look like a dragster, to go be able to start going down the racetrack.
Yeah,
and it's a great sport. It's a great camaraderie within the sport. Yeah. And you know, just like people get, I'll say, caught up in, you know, soccer moms, hockey clubs, traveling hockey clubs, you know, gymnastics, competition cheer, all that stuff. My daughter's here with me this weekend running a junior dragster.
Oh, that's cool.
My wife's here, you know, we've got a motorhome and a trailer that we bring those cars as well.
Well, and when you're, I mean,
I guess my point is if you have a family and think that you can't get involved in drag racing because, you know, you have a family and whatever, you know, it's just not true. You know, you mentioned camping. You know, I call when I come to these races with my family, we're going camping. You know, there's all grass areas for the sportsman category. That we pull in, we park. We set up our motorhomes and trailers and awnings, and so you know, we're camping out at the racetrack amongst all of our friends. Really.
That's absolutely.
Speak of the devil, my daughter.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to her. But it is neat that it is a family thing, and I would have never guessed that. I'm not a car guy. I always, like I told Jay, I just always thought this drag strip was a bunch of motorheads on a weekend, but it's not. It's not.
Definitely a family
and I guess I get it, because like when you're here in these environments every week, every month or whatever, and you see the same people over and over and over, you can't help but become friends with them.
Exactly.
I mean,
your family of friends gets bigger and bigger. You know? Just like you do, like when you're on a traveling sports team.
Right. Yeah.
You know that you know, even if they're on another team, you know, you see either your friend, you see them at whatever competition all over the country, and you know, it's now become your extended family. We call it your racing family.
Right. Yeah. And your friends, except for the 3 seconds down the track where you're trying to beat them.
Right. Yeah.
But when it's all over, you're still friends.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Very good.
Alrighty, you guys. Well, thanks for giving us a little bit of your time, and best of luck the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
All right.